guess I'm just going to do the first bit of my build video. I already took the time to put the tires and wheels together here. It's quite tedious. I don't think anybody would want to watch that. The wheels are actually 3-piece. Here, I'll let you take a quick look. Okay, so if you don't have one of these trucks or you don't run this type of wheel, you got a front, back, and then you've got your hex on the back. That's the third piece. So you actually literally have to unscrew all the little screws here, pop them out, take it apart, put the wheel or the tire on the wheel, and then you have to put it back together, and you have to screw all these little screws and nuts back together. So it took a while. I'm glad it's done, and I don't think you want to watch that, so I guess you would call that the first part of the build. Secondly, I like to do builds on a white towel. I know a lot of people use like pit mats and things like that, but the reason I use a white towel is not only does the contrast against the white towel to all the parts, I could usually see everything much easier, but if you're on a towel you won't have anything rolling off. It'll stay in one place, so that tends to work out pretty good. Also, I have a magnetic mat where I can throw all my hexes and screws that I'm not using, so that's real convenient. So I'll be using this throughout the build too. So, like I said, I guess this would be the first part of the build, and so it begins, and we'll go from here, and we'll see about getting this thing together. Alright. Well, I'm basically going along following directions. I mean, first of all, don't tell anybody I'm following the directions. Okay? There's a couple things that men don't do. We don't look at the directions. We don't read maps. We don't ask for directions at gas stations. So let's just keep this between you and us. So basically the directions have got me putting together the chassis, the ladder frame here. I'm not gonna sit there and bore you with all the gory details of every little screw I put in, but I'm gonna cut back and forth, in and out, and kind of show you, basically where I'm at. I mean, but there is one thing they don't show you in the directions here. Putting together highly expensive and very intricate RCs always is better accompanied with straight whiskey. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Straight whiskey makes everything better, including putting these together. I'm not going to tell you that the build would go better because of that, but it's going to make it a lot more fun. So, I'm going to cut out for now, and we'll come back when this is a little more put together. I'll kind of go over where it's going, how it's going, and we'll see what happens. Alright. I figured I'd pop on right now, and I didn't want you guys to miss a beat. I want you to be a part of every little piece of this build that I'm doing. I'm down here in my basement, and of course, where men live in basements, women make, men put the cat litter boxes down here, and my cat just came down and took a healthy dump, and it smells delicious down here, so I don't want you to miss a beat, And thanks to anybody who's still bearing with me on this build. Thank you for watching. It's fantastic that you're doing that. That's cool. But as you can see, look at all these little baggies here. They're all filled with screws. This truck has more screws than Jenna Jameson. And let me just say this. For anybody who's young and doesn't know what I'm talking about, that just means there's a lot of screws. That's all I mean by that. So, don't look too far into it, and please don't ask your parents why I said that. Just saying. Anyways, let's continue the build. Okay, well, the chassis is coming along quite well, and this thing is super rigid. Tell you what, I've seen the truck in person, but I've never built one, and I've never been able to see them as it goes along in the build. And I'll tell you what, man, they really did a good job making this sucker. I'm pretty excited to keep on going and see how it comes along. Yeah, hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Hopefully it's not too terribly boring. We'll see what we can do about keeping it spiced up, right? Alright. Okay. We are now at the point where the chassis is pretty much complete, as you can see. I'm now at the point where I'm going to be putting the gearboxes on, transfer case, whatnot, right here. So I figured I'd give you a look at basically what the chassis sits like. Like I said before, extremely sturdy. I couldn't be more pleased with it. It's going together quite nicely. So far so good. except for the whole empty glass thing. Hey, what are you going to do? Might have to do something about that, but the build must go on. So here we go. On with the build. Alright, well I'm at the point of the build where I've mounted up the transfer case and I put the mounting bits onto the gearbox here. Haven't got to put that on yet, but now I'm going to be using my first purchased item, I guess. I'm going to be putting these together with the super soft red leaf springs. And like I said, I'm going to go with these first. A lot of people said that this was the better way to go, being the stock leaf springs were going to be real stiff, so I'd rather have a little articulation, so I'm going to go with these first and leave the stock ones off. I mean, I always have the option to change it out later, but for now, I'm going to go with these, and let's press on with the build. As you see, I've upgraded to the super manly glass of, is it Kool-Aid? No. Is it juice? Not technically. Wine. Yes, this is a glass of wine. Let's calm down. You know, don't make too much fun. Hey, at least I'm being honest, right? So, I'm going to drink my wine with my pinky up. I'm going to be putting these together in a very manly fashion. And I'll see you in the next little segment. On with the editing and build. Okay, I've got the suspension on here, front and rear. Got the gearbox and the transfer case here, that's mounted up. Nothing too difficult yet. Looking good as far as I'm concerned. So, just wanted to give you a quick update to where it is currently. I went ahead and grabbed one of my battery packs because I'm going to mock that up a little bit. You'll notice I didn't put the little plastic receiver box on there, and that usually mounts right here on the truck because I'm going to be mounting my batteries right there. So that's kind of where I'm thinking this is going to go. Seems like it's going to fit there nicely. I mean, I've got all this space for electronics. I'll just be waterproofing the electronics that I put on here, so I don't have to worry about putting a little box up there. So, yeah, now you can see where I'm going to put the battery. So, here I am. This is where I'm at. I need a refill. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then continue the build, and I'll see you in the next little tidbit. Okay, I've got the Punisher drive shafts on now. And I'm going to be making the links for the steering and the gear shifting servo here next. So I guess that's going to take me to putting the servos in. Now, that's going to of course take me to putting the electronics in, which I'm pretty anxious to get to see how I'm going to set that all up and lay it out in a, in a fashion that's nice and neat and tidy. So, hang in there. We're getting somewhere now. I mean, obviously. It's much further, and hopefully this won't take too much longer. Hope the video's not too boring yet. And on to the next thing. The build continues. Okay. Some more forward progression. I've got the servos mounted, and one thing I did notice about the kit here, so if you are going to buy this kit or intend on buying it in the future, it doesn't include servo horns for the steering or for the servo for shifting gears. So you have to provide that for yourself. It's a good thing I had a couple laying around, so I'm going to go ahead and modify them a little bit so they're going to fit, and I can continue with the build without having to go to the hobby shop and buying something else. So far so good. I think that's going to be the only hiccup so far, so got to figure out how to dress this all in, mount the electronics still. Actually, I got a bit to do still. But, yeah, here you see it. It's getting there. It's got a nice weight to it. And even the tray here is metal, so I'm really digging the construction. So, I guess on with the build, and here we go. Alright, well, I've got the linkage connected to the servo here for shifting the gears. Looking good. So, hey, that's out of the way. Now I just gotta get the steering together. I mean, obviously everything's kind of just hanging here. This is for testing purposes so I can get it together, but hey, this is out of the way. So that makes me happy, and it looks to be working just fine. Yeah, on these particular controllers, on these Fly Skies or whatever, the third channel is on a button on the back here, and you just press it and press it. And that's what runs it. So far so good. Let's keep on going, I guess, huh? Alright. Well, it's a new day. I stopped last night where I had the gear shifting servo set up. It was about 2:30 a.m. at that point, so I pretty much couldn't see straight or think anymore. So it's, like I said, it's a new day, and I've got the steering all set up on it now. Let's see. That's on and working. So we're getting there. Not too much longer, I don't think. I do still need to put the body together and mount it up, because I'll have to take it all apart again, you know, once I do that. But I need the body together so I can see how the electronics are going to be able to fit and make sure everything sits correctly. Okay, well, the build's pretty much done. Got the wheels on, and now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to mount the electronics. I did realize with the motor being up in the front that the wires on my ESC weren't long enough, so I soldered some extender wires on there and put some heat shrink on there to cover up my solder points. And I'm probably going to put it somewhere like about here, but that gives me plenty of length to get my motor wires there. So that's about where I'm at. Next time you see this, it should be pretty much set up, and we'll take a look at how I have the electronics all done. So hang in there. We're getting there now. Alright, well, she's finally complete. Got the motor in. The gearing's all meshed up. Got the wires all dressed in. I actually ended up using the gas tank for the ESC, but I just moved where it went. You can see where I got the battery mounted. Of course, this will be hidden by the body. The only thing I really haven't decided and haven't really finished is where I'm going to put this switch, the on-off switch for the ESC. But, you know, that's minimal. But, there you go. This is high gear. It's working. And low gear. There it is. Nice transition between the two. Put it back to high. Steering's good. See, these 2075 servos, I don't think they're bad at all. But, you know, we'll see on the trail, right? Now, I think I'm going to do the body, the paint, and everything like that on a separate video. So this will kind of conclude the build video. And I just want to say to everybody who watched this or who will watch this, I appreciate you bearing with me as I finish it up. It was my first attempt at a build video, so thanks. Thanks for sticking around. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't horribly boring. And hopefully the paint and body video will be fun to watch. So until then, we'll see you later. But I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks. We'll see ya.